What's up guys, this is Nick from Stridewise.com, and before this video starts I wanted to mention I actually got a discount code for this pair of boots if you like them. I recorded this video a few weeks ago, but I didn't find out until that I actually managed to get a discount code for this video. So if you like the boots, SW15 at the checkout will get you 15% off. It's going to wind up being about $63 off of a pair of $425 boots. So if you like them, use that code. If not, no worries. Yeah, I recorded this whole thing before knowing that I was able to get a discount code. So yeah, all right, ride the boots. Enjoy.
What's up guys, this is Nick from Stridewise.com, and today I'm reviewing the Dundalk boot from the small cult company Rider Boot Shop. So Rider Boot Shop is not actually known for like horse riding boots. It's so called because it's run by a guy called Ron Rider and his family. It's a pretty small outfit based in Richmond, Virginia, but the boots are actually made in Italy in a place called Gisano, like between Como and Milan. And they use sort of like American construction with a European aesthetic. Ron told me that if you were to see a boot shop and if they were to have like Alden and Crockett and Jones in the dressy section and Redwing and Wolverine in the casual section, his boots are meant to sit right in between the two. The idea is that they use rugged materials with dressy lasts to produce what he calls a sophisticated casual vibe. So this is the 6+1 Dundalk 2 Derby boot. 6+1 just means you get 6 pairs of eyelets and 1 pair of speed hooks. And a Derby boot just means that the eyelets are visible on the top as opposed to like an Oxford shoe where the eyelets are underneath it and has like kind of a more clean dressy aesthetic. But you know, most boots tend to be sorts of Derby boots if you want to classify them like that. Now, as you can see, this is not a new pair of Dundalks. As per usual, I've been wearing these in. I've worn them for a good few weeks. And it's been a pretty wet few weeks in New York City as well. I've even managed to stain them, so go me. But like the difference between an old pair and a new pair of Dundalks really is pretty remarkable. But over time, yeah, the rough out leather here really does soften and get a lot nappier. And it gets a lot dirtier as well. So I've left these dirty, but I'm gonna try and give them a bit of a brush down later on in this video. Now, as I mentioned, the main thing here is that it has sort of American construction with a European aesthetic. Like a lot of American work boots, it's got this nice day-night sole on the outside. It's Blake Rapid construction as opposed to Goodyear Welt construction, which I'm gonna get into a little bit later on in the video. But if you look at the last, as you can see, this is really a lot less, like it's not as bulky and stumpy as a lot of American work boots. It's quite svelte, it's quite elegant, and it's not that hard to dress up, provided you're able to keep the leather relatively clean, but the leather is pretty hard to keep clean. So this leather, which I know is a little bit dirty because I kind of want to show you what it would look like after a few weeks of regular wear. This leather is called Reverso calf leather. So it comes from Lo Stivali, that's a tannery in Italy. And this is rough out leather. It's not suede. Suede comes from the outside of the skin, and this is like from the inside. So rough out is rough to the touch because it comes from the underside of the hide's grain. If you think of the skin of the animal as like a loaf of bread, most leather is made from the crust side, while this is made from the fluffy, bready side of the crust. It's pretty tough though. It used to be pretty standard on soldiers' boots during the World Wars. And this leather is a bit unusual for a rough out because you might call it the hair, like the nappiness, is a lot shorter than the rough out you'll get in a pair of like Truman's Java Wax flesh boots. So it's sort of like rough out with a buzz cut. It's also considered vegetable tanned, but the tannage does include fish oils, probably salmon, Ryder told me. So, and the thickness is typically about 1.8 millimeters thick, but with the lining, it winds up at about 3.3 millimeters thick for the Dundalk. Now, Ryder tells me that this leather is waterproof and, quote, requires virtually no care. But as I mentioned, it's been a pretty wet few weeks here in New York City, and I didn't find them that waterproof. Like the leather does not bead water off of it, like water does soak into it. And I did get kind of wet toes once. Now that was just once, and it's been raining a lot, so they've done pretty well. And that might have more to do with the fact that it is a Blake Rapid construction, so it's not the most waterproof construction in the entire world. And look, for a boot that looks this dressy and is this versatile and can be dressed up this easily, yeah, it's gonna do better in wet weather than a lot of its competitors, especially stuff with a more traditional Blake stitch as opposed to a Blake Rapid stitch. But if having the most waterproof boots on earth is important to you, I would consider maybe getting some wax put on it. Maybe, it's up to you. you. As for regular care, when this rough out gets dirty, like when dirt gets caked into it, you can use a brush. A lot of guys are going to have a horsehair brush like this lying around for your regular, like full grain or corrected grain leathers. But for this particular type of leather, I'd recommend something more like the stiff head brush from Armstrong's All Natural, or you can just use a toothbrush. Or, which is probably a better idea, you can use like a dedicated suede brush, which is a little bit better at this sort of material. And I put some links to some products that can be useful for that in the description below. Now, as for conditioning the leather, remember there's some fish oil in the tannage here. So a lot of guys use Lexol on this, but if you speak to Ryder themselves, which I've done, they recommend either neatsfoot oil, which is made from the rendered shin and feet bones of cattle, or cod liver oil. Now, neatsfoot oil is going to be easy to find. It's very common, and it's really good on pretty much all leathers. Well, I mean, a lot of leathers, especially if you're interested in preserving the original color, especially for Red Wings. But if you get some cod liver oil, that's going to be more expensive, but you know, it also doubles as an omega-3 fatty acid supplement. So, you know, you might want to go that route. All right, let's talk about this sole. The outsole is Daynite, which is very popular. A lot of people see it as like the gold standard for quality men's boots. You'll see it on boots that cost $600 or $700, like Trickers and Viberg. So it's just generally seen as a good compromise on like form and flexibility and function and grip and everything else. Ryder is also pretty famous for having 2 midsoles, both made from leather. And there are plenty of Dundalks out there that have 3 midsoles, but it kind of depends on what time of year you order them, and you just kind of have to check with Ryder to see exactly which one you're getting. Now, there's no shank in here, which some people will be sad about because shanks help to improve arch support and help the boot to maintain its shape as it ages. Ron Ryder maintains that metal shanks annoy his customers because they set off metal detectors at the airport, and he says that because this doesn't have a welt in it, it just doesn't need one. So I don't know, it's sort of an individual preference thing, but no shank. And indeed, this is not a Goodyear welt, which is surprising. It's also not a Blake stitch, which is often what you see on European shoes and boots. It's kind of a compromise between the two, which is called a Blake rapid stitch. So it's not as lightweight or flexible as a regular Blake stitch, which you often see on dressier shoes, but it is more water resistant and easy to resole than a regular Blake stitch, although it is heavier than a Goodyear welt. And as I mentioned earlier, it's not all that water resistant, but you know, it is more water resistant than a regular dress boot. It's just not quite as all-weather as some people will tell you, which I'll get into in the cons section later on. So right now the sizes run from 5.5 to 15, and they come in D and double E width. So D is normal, double E is extra wide, and I am a D, and they fit true to size. So I got 11.5 D, and everything was good. And they're pretty comfortable shoes. They're fully lined with vegetable tanned calf skin, which is a very, very nice feeling. The shock absorption is very good as well. The arch support is kind of so-so, especially at first, probably in part because there's no shank in here. But over time, over the few weeks I've been wearing these, the midsoles and the insole did mold around the shape of my foot, and now the arch support's pretty nice. Like, it's not as good as something like a pair of White's boots, which for my money, best arch support in the business. But for what I got, and especially for the price, pretty happy with the comfort. This rough out leather, it is like relatively tough. It ages quite interestingly. You need to be ready for it to change quite dramatically, but nonetheless, it is relatively tough leather. It's also resolable. It's not quite as easy as a Goodyear welt to be resoled, but still I think most cobblers are going to be able to do it, which extends the lifespan of the boots, which in turn saves you money. You don't have to replace your boots as often, so that's also a good thing. And also this last as well, I'm a really big fan of it. It's really very versatile. This unusual combination of like the tough, like sort of outdoorsy leather with the dressy last makes for a pair of boots that like you can wear with a button down, you can wear with a Henley, you can wear it with a nice t-shirt, I think, as long as you've got pretty good quality jeans on. It's versatile, I like it. Also, it's fully leather lined and the shock absorption is good and it's quite comfortable as well. So yeah, there are a lot of thumbs up for this one. Now I'm going to be a little bit controversial here because Ryder really does insist that these are really good all-weather boots for rain or snow or whatever you throw at them. But again, I've been wearing these in rain and they aren't quite as waterproof as I was sort of led to believe by the marketing materials. They were fine. I mean, they were better than sneakers, definitely, and better than a lot of other shoes, especially dressier shoes. But yeah, my socks got kind of wet one day. Plus I got this little stain on it as well, which I'm gonna be able to get out with like some leather shampoo or something. But you know, they didn't really consider them to be as all-weather, as rugged as, you know, you sort of might have been expecting. They also get dirty pretty easily as well, so keeping them clean is going to be a bit of a task for some people. There's no shank in there. Now, Ryder himself told me that he thinks like the idea that all boots need to have a shank is just marketing BS. I'm not going to really take a stand on that either way, but if you are convinced that a shank is an important part of helping a boot to maintain its shape over time, you'll be bummed out that there's no shank in there. Finally, this is not, I don't know, this isn't really a con on, but the difference between a new pair of Dundalk boots and an old pair really is very, very remarkable. When you first get them, they look they're more versatile. Like you can dress them up much more easily. When I first got them, I wore them with a blue suit. They looked really good. Now it would be a bit tough, and if you check out these pictures of old Dundalk boots, it's like immediately clear that no, it's a lot harder to dress them up as they age. So that's something to think about. That's not to say you can't wear them with a button down when they're older, but yeah, they become less versatile as they age and get more beat up. But there's a lot of guys out there, the more beat up they look, the better they love them. So it's sort of an individual preference thing. All right, those are my thoughts on the Dundalk boots from Ryder. I really do wear these shoes a lot. Like, they're very versatile. They do have some downsides, but honestly, I really think they're probably worth a buy if you're in the market anyway. I've got a link to buying them and a link to a written review in the description below if you want to check that out. See some pictures on my website, click around, it's a very cool place. And make sure you subscribe as well, because I've got a whole lot of boot reviews and boot comparisons and boot care tips and a bunch of other stuff coming up.